After a decade of political turmoil in Europe, 2019 was the year of the election. From Denmark to Romania, from Spain to the UK, millions of voters, millions of you, helped to shape the different regions, countries of the European Union, indeed the very union itself. So we've come to a miniature-sized Europe to give you a mini look back at the year that's just been. In May, over 200 million voters turned out in the European Parliament election, hitting over 50% for the first time in decades. Though it produced a more fractured, divided parliament, with the centre-right EPP and the centre-left Socialists no longer having a combined majority. That came at the expense of increased support for the populist right and a surge for the Greens in Western Europe. One country that can't seem to make its mind up is Spain. It's had, 4 elections in 4 years, 2 this year, and they've both produced pretty similar results. For months, Pedro Sanchez tried to form a coalition, and for months he repeatedly failed. But with significant gains for the far-right Vox party and continued trouble in Catalonia, Spain's political turmoil is far from over. Now, the disunited kingdom was meant to have left the European Union by this stage, but you know what? They couldn't agree on what type of Brexit they wanted, even if they wanted Brexit at all. And what it meant is that Theresa May was out and Boris Johnson was in. And having managed to get a new Brexit deal with the EU, Boris Johnson found himself with no majority, and so the British also went back to the polls. But all in all, he managed to win a thumping Conservative victory, the biggest since 1987. The country will now, finally, it looks like, leave the European Union at the start of next year. Well, matching the Brits for political drama this year is, you've guessed it, the Italians. They do love a bit of political pressure and clearly a bit of a leaning tower. And at the centre of it all has been Salvini, who seems to have slightly overplayed his hand a little bit earlier, then got kicked out of government, but now seems more popular than ever. Though he does find himself locked out of government with his former partners, the Five Star Movement, now teamed up with the centre-left. But with significant gains locally for La Liga and big policy differences in government, Salvini may get his wish of an election in 2020. Meanwhile, in Germany, there's been a surge in support for the Greens. So there you are. There's also been quite significant gains for the far-right AfD, and that's meant that Angela Merkel's coalition with the centre-left SDP, well, that's hanging on by quite a thin sausage. The new SDP leadership aren't really keen on the Grand Deal, and so the most stable of democracies might well be in for a bit of a roller coaster next year. And next to France, where the weather is decidedly much worse, and where the French president, and the man who views himself as the new leader of Europe, has been fighting on all fronts, whether that is against the Yellow Vest protesters, striking workers, and in some ways, his own ability to constantly put his foot in it. Strikes have hit France hard this month, and there is little sign of compromise in the air. Just tear gas, really. In Poland, the Law and Justice Party easily retained power, but there was less good news for Europe's strongman, Viktor Orban, in Hungary, who lost control of cities like Budapest and others. This combined with corruption allegations in Romania that brought down the government, and anger in Albania and North Macedonia, who've been blocked for EU accession plans. 2019 has been a year of scandal, setback and shocks. Well, no one can claim that politics is dull at the moment, and next year promises to be equally interesting. Will that coalition government in Germany last? Will Britain actually leave the European Union? And Malta, my word, what's going to happen there? We'll have it all for you. You won't miss a bit on Euronews and Euronews.com. Well, that's it from our mini Europe to Real Europe. From me, And Nate, from this man here, we wish you the merriest of Christmas and a happy New Year.